Hey there, comic book community. My name is Joe, and this is 360 Comics. I recently bought a massive 24 long box collection, and last week I showed you the slabs that I pulled out of there, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. Today we're going to go over the most expensive raw books that I found in the collection, and there are some really good ones, so make sure you stick around. And while you're at it, don't forget to enter our 1,500 subscriber giveaway. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up for a like, and leave a comment down below. That'll give you one entry, and you can check out our other videos from the months of March and April for additional entries. The prize is this book right here, The Incredible Hulk 377, the first appearance of Professor Hulk. Also, make sure to check out our weekly sales on Instagram and whatnot, and look out for some giveaways we'll be announcing there soon. At 24 long boxes and approximately 6,000 books, this is the biggest collection that I've ever purchased, and it's taking me a long time to sort. I just got to do a little bit every day, but I went through initially and I pulled out all the bigger keys that kind of have a value of $100 and up. So I've got them to show you today, and there are some really good ones. Like I mentioned before, stick around to the end because it's going to get really hot at the end with some high value keys. First up, we've got a diamond in the rough from the 90s, Blade the Vampire Hunter, #1. Now, when I think 90s, I think these gimmicky foil covers like this one, and I think massive print runs that hold the value of the books down. Even when there's a large demand for a book, usually the supply just overweighs that and doesn't allow the book to get very expensive. Most 90s keys are $5 to $15 books. Well, there are some exceptions, and this is certainly one of them. This book goes for about $100 in a high grade and a couple $100 in a 9.8. This is definitely a 9.8 candidate, as are many of these books, because the original owner of this collection took meticulous care of his comic books. They were almost entirely bagged and boarded, and not only that, but it doesn't look like most of them were read, and I can see from a lot of them that they certainly were never read. Anyway, we got Blade #1. This character, we have seen a slight cameo appearance in the end of Eternals. Just his voice, the new actor coming in. We had Wesley Snipes in the 90s, and that movie series really saved Marvel, and we would not have the MCU without it. So Blade, very important character. I think they can do some really cool things with him, especially bringing in the horror side and the monster side of the Marvel universe. I think that would be a great way to expand the MCU on the big screen. But we're definitely going to see Blade in the next couple years, and I have some high hopes for that character. Anyway, speaking of kind of the more horror-y side of Marvel, we're seeing some Moon Knight stuff go berserk right now because the show is coming in just a few weeks. I believe April sometime, maybe? I forget the exact date. But anyway, we got Moon Knight number 55 here. Now, this isn't really a key as far as the story goes, but it's the first time that Stephen Platt worked on Moon Knight. It is a classic Stephen Platt cover, and this is just such a coveted book. In fact, about $100 in high grade raw, and 9.8s are about $500 or $600. Guess what? This guy was a little bit of a speculator. There were some books in this collection that he had several copies of. Some 3, some 5, some 10. There were 3 copies of this book. They're all really nice high grade, and you'll love to see that. And along with this book, you'll love to see this one as well. Just a few issues later, number 57 from that Mark Spector Moon Knight run. Another incredible Stephen Platt cover, homaging Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man 300-301 cover. And just, classic 90s goodness here. I assume that these were kind of lower print runs by the end of this run. I think issue 60 was the last book. So I think that's why these books hold value very, very nicely. This one, similar to the last, raw value about $100 and a couple hundred in a 9.8. These are all contenders, and I certainly will be sending a lot of books in this collection out to CGC. Next, we got some Star Wars going all the way back to the 70s. There was no #1 in this collection, per se. We'll get to that in a second. But there was a #2. This is the first appearance of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Greedo, the Millennium Falcon, the Death Star, and a couple other, minor characters and entities. But, just the second book of the Star Wars run. Now, you're going to make sure, you got to look up here at the top. If you see a diamond shape up here, that's going to be the Whitman reprint. They are not as coveted, but this is the original printing of this with just the rectangular price up in the top corner. And this is just a great book to have, especially right now with all the hype around Star Wars, that we're getting Disney Plus shows on a regular basis, and they're good. Book of Boba started a little slow, ended awesome. I think we're all excited for Mandalorian Volume 3. Now, I said there wasn't a number one in this collection. I was kind of not fully truthful about that, because there was this thing right here. This is the Whitman reprint 3-pack. So as you can see up here, it says 3 for 99 cents. Imagine that. You get 3 comics for 99 cents and 3 good ones back then. This sells for about $150 still in this poly bag here. And this is issues 1, 2, and 3. You can see 1 through the cover here. And what is this? You can see 2 on the back. But number 3 is in between them. And this was the reprint, or the second printing of this, done by Whitman, which is a publisher that reprinted a lot of Marvel stuff and other things too as well. Gold Key, I believe, and Dell, if I'm remembering correctly, mostly in the 70s. And like I said, sealed like this is about $150. Was really stoked to find that. Then we're moving on now to Iron Man 282. I always say War Machine when I see this because the title says War Machine spray painted over Iron Man. This is the first appearance of the War Machine armor, not the first appearance of War Machine the character, and people get these mixed up a lot. Rhodey does not don this armor for a few issues, and he's not called War Machine until kind of much later in West Coast Avengers, I think 94 is where he takes on that name. But this is the first appearance of the War Machine armor. The market has dictated that this is the book to get for War Machine spec, and given that we're going to see an Armor Wars series coming out in the next probably year or so, I'm very, very excited for that. And this book has certainly a lot of potential. I think Rhodey is such an undervalued character. He's great supporting cast, but I'm really excited to see him kind of do his own thing in Armor Wars. Anyway, let's get on to the next stack of books here. We've got quite a few of them to go through, and some heavy hitters at the end. But throwing it back to some 80s goodness here, we've got Thundercats number 1, first appearance of all the Thundercats, all that stuff. This is a franchise that I missed out on. I was born in the 90s, 1990, so I was not really into Thundercats or He-Man or G.I. Joe. I was more into the animated series of Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman that were on in the early 90s, as well as I caught the tail end of TMNT, which started in the late 80s. That being said, this is still a really coveted collectible, with a retail value of kind of a little over $100 in the condition that's in, maybe $125 or so. Happy to pick that one up, and that one will be available. I'm probably going to sell this one. I don't think it's worth getting graded. It's not that high grade, but yeah, we'll probably move this one raw. Then we got Miss Marvel number 1, the first appearance of Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel. Not her first appearance. You got to remember she does appear in the Marvel Superheroes run alongside Captain Marvel. But this is her first solo book, as well as her first time using the name Miss Marvel. Great 80s, 80s? This is late 70s, I guess. Yeah, 30 center. Great 70s key to pick up that's actually fairly affordable, and at around $120 in the condition that it's in. Not a hard one to pick up. I found lower grade copies of this, kind of, I shouldn't say lower grade, but mid grade, for $40-50. So it's out there and available, and just a great key with some MCU connection. Then we got one of my favorites. Always looking for this book, especially in 90s collections. Gargoyles number 1, based on the animated television show from the early 90s. A really popular show that I personally loved. I guess what happened was, because this book was for kids based on a kid's show, wasn't printed very highly. A lot of copies probably got destroyed as well, because kids don't take care of their comics. And for that reason, this has become a very expensive book. In fact, I've seen 9/8 newsstands sell for over $1,000 and 9/8 direct editions sell for close to $1,000. So this one is a 9/8. It is not a newsstand. It is a direct edition. It's a 9/8 candidate. I'm definitely going to be sending this one in when I get a chance to actually get some stuff together for a submission. Next, we're going to throw it back to the 1970s and Joker #1. First Joker solo run, and really awesome. I love the trade dress. The title looks awesome. Joker right on the cover. Some other classic Batman characters, including Bruce Wayne himself. And who doesn't love the Joker? Awesome character, and one that I think stands the test of time and will just always be around. So I think this is a great book to have. I'll probably keep this one in my personal collection. A couple books from here I'm going to be keeping in my personal collection, but this is probably one of them. Then we're going to go back to the Silver Age. Very few Silver Age books in this collection because I'll give you a little preview. I'm going to do a whole video on how I got this collection, but the original owner had passed away, and all the books were given to his cousin. And at one point, apparently, another one of their family members came over and was like, hey, I want all the older stuff, and took all the Silver Age stuff. There were a couple books left, Silver Age, and even some late Golden Age stuff, but most of the books in this collection were 80s, 90s, and modern stuff, and 2000s. So there wasn't a lot, but there was this Fantastic Four number 39. Not a key book, but I'm surprised it's not a classic cover, because this cover to me is very classic. It's got Dr. Doom looming in the background. We got a Daredevil crossover as well. Great stuff. Issue number 39. And I love picking up these Doom covers. It's kind of in the mid-grade condition, and even like that, it's still about $100 book. Then we got one that's been going wild recently, and probably a year or two ago, this was not a $100+ book, but now it is. We got Adventure into Fear number 20, the first solo story of Morbius the Living Vampire. Not his first appearance or anything like that, but this is where his solo stories kick over. In this run, he meets Blade for the first time, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. And great read. I love this run of Bronze Age horror. And Morbius, super, super hot right now. I have a couple copies of this book. This is by far the highest grade, so I'm probably going to keep this one and get rid of those other copies in my collection. Sticking with the horror theme, we got the Monster of Frankenstein #1. Marvel, I guess, either getting the rights or probably the characters. I assume this character at this point was part of public domain, so they were able to utilize this character as part of their their reboot of their horror, section of their catalog. The Comics Code Authority had kind of released its tight grip on horror and started allowing, more scary, more gory things. So Marvel really capitalized on that with, Tomb of Dracula and Man-Thing and a whole bunch of other characters. And this is one of them. We got a #1. This one is certainly staying in my personal collection. Love Bronze Age horror stuff like this. This is a great book. This is a great book, and I have a copy that is really, really low grade. In fact, it's a returned copy, so the title's torn off, and so is Hulk's head. But this is Marvel Feature #1, the first appearance of the Defenders, the original Defenders team, Hulk, Submariner, Doctor Strange, and then shortly thereafter, Silver Surfer joined. There's a lot of talk about the Defenders right now. Not this team in particular, but this was still the first, namesake of the Defenders team. We're really talking about the Netflix team a lot right now, and will they come over to the MCU? That's up for discussion. But either way, this is a phenomenal key to have, and it's one that has been, kind of slowly just building and building up in price. It's not the X-Men, it's not the Avengers, it's not the Fantastic Four, not that popular of a team, but really the Defenders, in my opinion, would be like second tier to those three teams. So, keep an eye out for this book if you ever find it. And Defenders #1, not a bad find either. There was none in this collection, but just wanted to look out for. Then we got Batman number 655. There was one copy of cover A, the regular cover, which is a really awesome red cover. I think it's a lot better than this 1 in 10 variant, but nonetheless, this book is way, way, way more expensive. In fact, the raw copies are over $100, and 9.8s are over $500 right now. These are possibly all 9.8s. By all, I mean this was another one of those books that this guy got 1, 2, and 3 copies of. First appearance of Damian Wayne in cameo. Important to note that, but this is the book that the market has dictated to be the more expensive one. Despite only seeing Damian's eyes at the end of the book, it has been the one that people really want to pick up. Probably because it's a much, much better cover, even this cover, and especially the regular cover A, than the next issue, 656, which is his first full appearance. But I digress. It's a really great cover to have. Then we got some Batman. This is number 131, and this is... It's not listed on Key Collector, but I am pretty sure in doing some research that this is the first appearance of Dick Grayson as Batman. You can see that is Dick Grayson there as Batman, and even on the word bubble on the cover, Batman Bruce Wayne is talking about how that's Dick Grayson dressed up as Batman. So I'm not sure if maybe I'm wrong about this, but it is not on Key Collector. Definitely one to look out for. And still sells for $100 or so. It's a 10-cent Batman issue, so it's most of the stuff from that era is worth $50 to $200, even if it's not a key. But I believe this one is. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave it in the comment below. I believe this is the first time Dick Grayson is Batman, but I might be wrong about that. Anyway, a couple issues later, Batman 136, this classic Joker cover by Sheldon Moldoff, and I love his artwork. He's probably either my second or third favorite Batman artist. It's real tough. I got Norm Brayfogle, Sheldon, and of course Neil Adams. Those three are my top three. It's tight between them. But yeah, classic cover, Joker appearance, 10-cent Batman issue. This one's a little bit more expensive, probably coming in around $200 to $250 in the grade that it's in, but it's a nice one. So this one I am almost certainly getting slabbed and keeping in the personal collection. Speaking of the Joker, we've got an interesting one next. World's Finest number 88. This is the first team up between the Joker and Lex Luthor, a supervillain team up. Batman and Superman, they're kind of like, the 1 and 2, the two top dogs of the DC universe, especially during this era. And, for their main villains to team up, that's a big deal in my opinion. A great 10-cent issue from, I believe this was 1960, if I'm not mistaken. And, unfortunately, neither of those characters are on the cover, but we do have Batman, Superman, and Robin on the cover, which, definitely makes it a cool one to look at. Moving away from DC, we're going to go over to some Amazing Spider-Man. Now, there were a lot of ASM books in this collection. A pretty sizable run from the late 80s to the mid 90s. So that I was really stoked about, because that's kind of what I grew up on. And there were tons of keys in there. There were a couple of Silver Age things like this. Issue 19. This is the first appearance of Mac Gargan, who in the next issue becomes the Scorpion, one of Spider-Man's, main original nemesis. Someone tell me in the chat below, how do you pluralize nemesis? Anyway, Spider-Man 19, a really early double-digit Spider-Man book. Definitely one that's sticking in the personal collection. Same thing with this next one here. And you could say that I hit the jackpot with this collection. And this book being in there really shows that. We got Amazing Spider-Man 42. This is the first full appearance of Mary Jane Watson. And on the last page, in the classic last frame, she says the classic line, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." And that is the first time, she says that. First time she calls Peter Tiger, all that stuff. And yeah, this is a really great Mary Jane key issue. And yeah, that really sums up this collection. Definitely a jackpot of a collection. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man 252. It skipped pretty far ahead. There was a couple of those Silver Age books, like I said, but not a lot from the early or mid 80s. But there was this 252 first black suit. I'm always looking out for this book from 80s collections. It's a great one to pick up. And this is a really high grade newsstand copy. Possible 9.8, probable 9.6 in my opinion. It's just my opinion. I might be wrong. We're going to see. This one's definitely getting submitted. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man 298. Skipped a while up there, but this is the first cameo appearance of Eddie Brock, and more importantly, in my opinion, the first time that Todd McFarlane did art on the Amazing Spider-Man, which, that's kind of his quintessential work, in my opinion, and what he's most known for. And yeah, this is beautiful cover. A lot of people don't like the cover, but I think it's fantastic. Todd McFarlane killing it like he always does, and kind of leads into the Venom saga. Speaking of the Venom saga, we're going to skip a bunch of issues and go to Venom's first cover appearance. You saw this book in the in the beginning of the video, where I was, just giving a little brief rundown of what we were doing today. And ASM 316, first cover appearance of Venom. This one is super high grade. Again, I think it's a 9.8. I'm going to certainly submit this because even if it's a 9.6, they still go for about $600 or $700. A 9.8 of this book, if it hits that, over $1,000. That would be a nice score. Guess what? There was a second copy. It's a newsstand copy, but it's not as high grade. This one I will probably keep raw. I don't think it's worth submitting this book in the grade that it's in. Now, skipping a while ahead here, there were a bunch of books in between, but none of them are that high value until we get here to another symbiote, the first appearance of Carnage in Amazing Spider-Man 361. This is a newsstand. It is, again, super high grade, a possible 9.8, probable 9.6. We're submitting this one all day. This is a book that I think is a great pickup right now. The lull from Venom Let There Be Carnage has died down completely. In my opinion, this book has bottomed out, and in fact, I've got a video coming out soon about that. Some more Spidey stuff. Over on the Web of Spider-Man, we got number 118. This is the first appearance of Ben Reilly as Scarlet Spider. Fantastic cover appearance. And guess what? There wasn't just one copy. There were two high-grade copies. One looks flawless to me. Certainly submitting that one. The other one I'll probably keep raw. We're going to see. If the one comes back at 9.8, it is absolutely staying in my personal collection and going to replace the high-grade raw copy that I have in there now. Then we got some big ones. The next bunch, this just gets better and better from here. We got a big book that has really exploded recently. She-Hulk #1, first appearance of She-Hulk, and coming to Disney Plus, right? Is Disney Plus? Yeah, it's a Disney Plus show. Probably sometime in the next, I think, year or so. I don't know exactly, but yeah, this is slated and it's coming, and I'm very excited about it. I think we got a teaser trailer preview kind of thing already, and I'm so excited for them to expand on the Hulk universe and all that. So we're gonna see what happens, but this is a phenomenal book. There were actually two copies. One is significantly higher grade than the other, probably worth slabbing. The other one I'll definitely be keeping raw. 2 copies of that, though. So great. And speaking of multiple copies, there were several copies of G.I. Joe #1. You saw the slab that I had in the video from last week. It was a 9.2. Well, guess what? This is a high-grade raw copy, and this is a high-grade raw copy, and this is also a high-grade raw copy. Actually, 3 of these were still in the poly bag. I didn't even know this book came in a poly bag. I've never seen it in a poly bag before. But 2 out of the 3 raw copies here were in a poly bag. I actually think there was a 4th. I remember there being another newsstand variant. But maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm not sure. But either way, these 3 are nice books, and they're probably all gonna get graded. I'll probably sell 1 raw because a friend asked for a copy, so he'll probably get 1, and then the other 2 will end up getting graded. Oh man, this next one's big. Another polybagged book here. We got not amazing. This is All New Spider-Man, Ultimate All New Spider-Man, #1. This is the 2nd appearance of Miles Morales and his first ongoing solo run. It's still in the poly bag. I will probably crack this out of the poly bag and send it in to get graded. Like I said, this guy took care of all his stuff. This book could possibly be a 9.8, in which case it is, I believe, like almost $1,000 book. And guess what? There wasn't just 1. There were 2, both poly bagged, both kept meticulously well in bags and boards in addition to the poly bag. Definitely going to be sending these in to CGC and getting them graded once I get them out of the poly bag and give them a good press. That is definitely something to remember. If you're submitting polybagged books, you need to press them because the polybag actually puts certain indentations, especially along the center of the back where the polybag is spined. Don't forget to do that. A lot of people think, oh, it's in the poly bag, I'm just going to send it in. It's got to be in great shape. No, not always the case. Make sure you do that. A book I've never owned next. The Incredible Hulk 340. Classic Todd McFarlane Wolverine Hulk cover. Never have found this book in the wild. Never have seen it for a price that I was happy with. It's an expensive book, especially in high grade. This one, not super high. Not going to get that 9.8, but definitely could be 9.0 plus. And for that reason, it certainly will be one that I'm sending in. And this one's probably going to stay in the personal collection as a big Todd Father fan. Oh man, this just gets... We're just going to get hotter and hotter from here. We got Young Avengers #1, first appearance of Kate Bishop, the new Hawkeye for the MCU. She's going to be sticking around. She's going to be doing a lot over the next 10 years. I think she's going to be a super, super important catalytic character. I think she's going to have a real leadership role. I think she's going to really grow into herself. We saw this like young, juvenile, startup hero in the Hawkeye show, and I think we're going to see so much maturity come out of her in the next 10 years of the MCU. This is a great book to pick up. This is super high grade. There's a little tiny baby nick up at the top. It might not be enough to keep it from a 9.8, so this is definitely getting sent in. 9.8s go for almost $1,000, and they peaked at well over $1,000 before Hawkeye came out, and I could see them going there again as we see Kate Bishop develop in the MCU. But guess what? There wasn't just this. There was the Wizard World Los Angeles exclusive variant sketch cover. This thing is even more expensive, several $100s for just a raw copy, and in a 9.8 sells between $1,200 and $1,500. This copy looks so flawless to me. So flawless. I am without a doubt going to send it in. Now, crazy thing about this, both of those books had tags on them. They still have the sticker from the store. The original owner paid $4 for the regular Young Avengers and $7 for this variant. I could not believe that. Now, maybe they were stickers from a different book that ended up on here, or they rebagged it. I'm not sure, but it could be possible, because these were not huge keys prior to, the MCU, prior to Kate Bishop's involvement and things like that. So it is definitely possible. All right, I got two more for you guys. You saw this book already last week in the slab video, but there was a raw copy too. Amazing Spider-Man 300, the first appearance of Venom. This is an even higher grade than the 8.5 slab that was also in this collection. In fact, this one I think is probably a 9.4 or 9.6. It is possible that it might get a 9.8 or a 9.2, but I'm pretty sure it's in that 9.4, 9.6 area. Definitely one that needs to get put in a slab to preserve as soon as possible. In a 9.6, this book fetches about $2,000. A 9.8, about $5,000. That's really hard to get. But even in the 9.2 and 9.4, that's still over $1,000. But not quite as expensive as this last book, guys. Here it is. The biggest book in this collection. And I'll tell you, once I saw those all-new Spider-Man 1s, I was on the lookout for this. Those were in the first box I went through, and this was in the last box I went through. Ultimate Fallout number 4, still in the poly bag. The first appearance of Miles Morales, just the standard for a blue chip modern key, a grail from the 2000s. This book is 11 years old. It could be bought on the shelf for cover price just 11 years ago. 9.8s are hitting $3,500 now. 9.6s are about $1,500, a little bit less than half of that. And 9.4s and 9.2s are creeping up on that $1,000 mark. The sky's the limit for this book. This character has only been in animation so far, just one movie. Second movie coming, I think, next year. And I'm hoping he comes to the live action universe at some point. I think a lot of people want that to happen, and realistically, I think they have to. Unless the MCU stops coming out with movies for some reason, I think this eventually is going to be a thing. I'm really excited about this. In fact, my last video had this book in it as well. I've been picking up copies. I have these two, and I have one more that I've had for a long time. I'm probably just going to keep picking them up and not really get rid of any and kind of see what happens with it. I think this character is a good bet, and this book is a good bet. Now, like I said, this is in the poly bag still. I took a look at it. It looks high grade, but you never know. I'm going to take it out of the poly bag, get it pressed and clean, send it in. Fingers crossed on that 9.8. I'm going to do a submission video of a CGC submission, and I'll be going through all the books and what I think they're going to be, and then we'll have to wait probably almost a year until they come back. But we'll wait and see. This one will definitely be one of the first ones to go out. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Depending on the grades of these things, a lot of stuff's going to CGC. Even raw, though, this is, $5,000 plus worth of books. This was a great collection to pick up. Possibly over $10,000 once graded. Even subtracting grading fees from that. Not really sure. You gotta wait and see where they come back. But this massive collection was an absolute incredible haul for me. I'm going to probably have one or two more videos about it because there's still a lot of stuff in there. Really cool things like signed books and variants and things like that. But I'm not going to get into it right now. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up for a like. Leave a comment down below. Check out our other videos. Enter our 1,500 subscriber giveaway. Follow us on Instagram and whatnot and all that stuff. And until next time, turn the page. Wash your hands.